everybody. Welcome to class. My name is Debbie Hoyt, and I am your instructor for Introduction to Psychology. I wanted to take a few moments today to talk to you about the class, go over the expectations. If I'm not looking at the camera, I have lots of notes that I do want to make sure that I hit upon everything. So my apologies if this video is a little bit longer than what I usually do. I want to make sure that you're prepared for the semester. And so I'm going over a lot of the expectations, my expectations of you, what you can expect from me, and kind of give you some helpful hints so that way you can be successful in the course. So I know quite a few of you have already been online. Thank you for tuning in, those emails. All great things. Love seeing everybody here. Looks like everybody's here and excited, so that's great. That always makes for a good course. So the first thing I want to go over a little bit is my teaching philosophy that is in the syllabus. And I use a lot of problem-based learning. So this is an online course, so we're not having a lot of those face-to-face discussions to talk about the different problems, to talk about what the concepts are. So I give you a problem, I guess you could say, that is realistic to what's going on in society. And your job is then to research that. And that's really how you learn. So you'll be reading the text. The quizzes are based solely from the text. So you will need to read the text for that and also to understand the concepts that are going to be addressed for each assignment. And then the quizzes are pretty analytical and conceptual in nature, so you're applying the information. So I know those flashcards and things like that. Those are just for you if you find them helpful. If you don't, you don't. That's fine. So the amount of direct instruction is really limited. I know people aren't going to watch hours of videos. People aren't going to read a whole bunch of supplemental things if I put them up there. I realize that. I've been there. I know that. So what I do is not have that direct instruction because we're not face to face. So you have to take on the responsibility of your own learning. And I really like that because when you take responsibility of your own learning, one, you're going to retain it for future use. And two, we really learn from each other. I learn as much from students in this class as you learn from me. So I really put things out there. And everybody has a different perspective, which is fine. And I want you to have your perspective. I want you to have your opinion. And we'll talk a little bit about, how to back that up using that research. So, you're going to identify, I'm giving you the problem. You're kind of focusing on that problem. You're conducting research, tons of research out there. And then you're coming up with, you may already have an idea what your opinion is, and then you're using facts, which is the research that's out there, to back up your opinion, to really show that, yes, I do know what I'm talking about. Our weekly assignments. So each about every 10 days. We don't really go on weeks. Why do I not have assignments posted on the same day? One of the reasons is I want you to retain the information. I want you to learn. Having quickie assignments done every week, I personally as a student didn't find valuable. This is a college class, so the information, this is an introductory course, lots of information. I know there's lots of things that you would like to split off and know more about, and you can definitely find those classes after you take this one. But at the same time, I want the information to be valuable to you. Some of you may be just taking it for a credit because this covers one of your gen ed credits. That's fine. I get that. Totally understand that. But I still want the work to be valuable. I want the knowledge to be valuable to you. So instead of doing a quickie assignment every week, I do more unit assignments. I do something a little bit bigger, and I want to give you time to really research the information. Plus, I want to give you time to discuss the information. So it gets really confusing if we're working on discussing this concept from last week but yet you're researching the concept for next week. So things kind of get convoluted and confusing, and what do I need to do and where do I need to go? So I put everything in about a 10-day span. That gives you ample time to read the chapter, to complete your research, to post your paper, to answer questions that are posted up there, and so on and so forth. So that is why you do need to watch the syllabus. Look at those dates. It's not always going to be on Friday or Sunday. Usually it's Fridays and Wednesdays, I believe it is, but there may be some other dates in there just because I spread things out throughout the semester. So when it comes to grading and the weekly assignments, so this is where I'm going to scare everybody, and hopefully people listen to the video to the end and not drop class after I say this. One of the pieces of feedback that I get is I am a tough grader. Yes, I am. This is a college course, so I get two pieces of feedback from people. One piece of feedback I get is, you're a tough grader, you treat this like a college course. This is a college course. Yes, I'm going to grade this like this is a college course. Other people love it because I grade you and they really learn and understand the concepts, which again, ultimately is my goal. So, is it hard to get an A? If you are going to do nothing else but post your paper at 11:58 on the due date, it will be tough for you to get an A. Impossible? Absolutely not. I am looking for people to have a comprehensive understanding of the concepts. I lay those out. I pretty much lay out what I'm going to be looking for within the assignment. So yes, I'm a tough grader. Yes, I have high expectations of you, but I give you a whole bunch of different ways to go about and show me that you understand the concepts. And it's not just in your paper. So what are the ways that you can do well in this course? One, probably today or tomorrow I'll be posting like how to get an A in this course, like on your papers. That should help you there. Two, you want to think about the concepts in the chapter. So again, it's important to read the chapters. So you're going to think about the concepts in the chapters, the concepts that I lay out with each assignment, and you're going to want to make sure that those are within your paper. You want to have a fluid paper, so not like kind of answering just the few questions or the bullet points that I put out. You really want to make it a good comprehensive paper. If you think back to high school, if you haven't taken English yet, you haven't taken English for a while, think about, your thesis statement, your supporting paragraphs, and then your summarizing paragraph. How much time? So how many pages? Another question I get. You should be spending about 6 to 9 hours a week on this class, which shocks some people. But if you think of it this way, when you're in a traditional setting, you spend 3 hours in the classroom setting, and then you have about 3-4 hours outside of class 2 to do assignments, read the text, etc., etc. So this is an online class. We don't have that 3 hours of face-to-face. So that is why I suggest 3 to 9 hours. I'm not going to sit there and time you. That is up to you. But I have some people say, oh, I'm spending a lot of time on this class, and they're spending 2 to 3 hours. That's not a lot of time. You should be spending, for an online class, and that's for any class, not just this one, you should be spending about 6 to 9 hours per week on the class to get everything done that you need to get done. You'll find that I'm pretty open when it comes to the number of pages. I don't have any type of guideline. Your assignments will need to be more than one page, and they'll definitely need to be more than one paragraph. Usually well-written pages are between 3 and 5 pages. Does that mean some people can do it in less than 3 and some people need more than 5? Absolutely. So that is ultimately up to you. I don't have any guidelines or expectations around the numbers of around the number of pages. I am looking for the content. So what I do have is for the assignments is, as you complete the assignments, 1, well-written papers. This is how I'm going to set you up for that. 1, I give you the concepts that I'm looking for. So if those aren't in the paper, you're going to lose points right there. 2, making sure that you use your research effectively. Just by listing it at the end of your paper in a bibliography does not mean you've used it effectively. You may have done research, you may have just pulled those off of Google. I have no idea. You want to complete a well-written paper or complete a comprehensive presentation. Where is the research within your paper? Can we see that? Can we read that? Definitely have your opinions. For example, down a future assignment is I'm going to have you analyze the personality of a character, a TV character. So say you look at Elaine from Seinfeld or you look at Phoebe from Friends, two well-known characters. Then all of a sudden I decide that those people are introverts. Probably a lot of you just now disagreed with me on that. But if I'm able to cite research that shows this is why they're an introvert because, these are the reasons why I think they're introverts, and this is what the research shows along with that. That's what you really need to do, is to put those pieces together. You'll be analyzing your own development, and you'll have to show you have a comprehensive understanding of the concept that I ask you to use in analyzing your own development. Some of it is going to be based on opinion. A lot of these are based on opinion, and you'll find that with psychology that is true. But what knowledge and research do we have? And that's important to understand. I see already quite a few nurses coming in here. If a doctor looks at you, doesn't touch you, doesn't take any tests or anything like that and says, you got a terminal illness, I would hope that as a consumer, you would say, based on what? That is your opinion. Okay. I hope you just don't flat out trust the doctor and say, okay, I've got a terminal illness. Many times when people are diagnosed with diseases or terminal illnesses, it is suggested you get a second opinion. Why? Because that person has different knowledge. They have different background. They may have completed different research or read different research. So that is why I think research is important, that you back up your opinion, because we are asked to do that. Even I in the school setting, if I sit there, so much is going on about trauma, and I'm sitting there talking to a teacher who's like, the kid does nothing in class all day. And I'm talking about how the brain shrinks when somebody's gone through chronic stress and trauma. They're like, no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Yes, it does. And then I give them actual links and, does it all roll off my tongue like, Yale University said? No. Do I have a whole bunch of links bookmarked for various things that go on in the school? Absolutely, that I can very easily pull and share from with both staff, teachers, and even just networking. So that is why the research is important. I want you to have your opinion, definitely have your perspective, but use the research to show that you know what you're talking about. We definitely want people to know what they're talking about and have a good understanding of what they're talking about. So that is really important. In a few days, I'm going to post also the Purdue Online Writing Lab. It's a link to Purdue University. They have an online writing lab. It's OWLS. Excellent, excellent, excellent resource of how to cite information. I use it myself, but it actually gives you an example of a well-written paper in APA or MLA format. Definitely look at that, because that's kind of where a lot of people fall apart. It may have been a while since you were in high school, as I said. Definitely just review that. It's not a psychology paper, if I remember correctly, but it's an example of a well-written paper. How else can you do well in this course? Post your work early. Participate on the discussion boards. As I said, you have until 11:59. That is not a requirement. Is it an expectation I have? Absolutely. It is not a requirement. You are not going to be deducted points if you do nothing else but post your paper. That's all I'm going to be able to grade you on, though. So if your paper is not well written, if you have not met the concepts, if you don't show that you have an understanding of the concepts, that's the only thing I have to go off of. Throughout the week, well, at the beginning of each assignment, I will be posting, and you can see from assignment 2, I've already done it ahead. I usually post like a video that may help you understand the concepts that we're talking about. I may post some questions. There may become an article that's on the news or in some paper that I'm like, hey, look at this. This is great. Um, you as well as the student have the right to put the same information up there too. You have questions about your text, about the text, put it on the discussion board. Don't email me because you're only going to get an answer from me and you're not really sharing it with other people. 2, um, other people can respond to you. If you see something like, oh, I really want to discuss this with my classmates, put it on the discussion board. That is great. We all don't see and hear the same information all the time because of the society we now live in, which is great. So this really helps expand our knowledge. When you see your classmates' work posted early, give them feedback, because when you respond to that feedback, the questions that you ask of your peer, as well as how you respond to that feedback, you get credit for as I grade your assignments. You can also rewrite your paper. I would not suggest rewriting it from scratch, but if people are like, oh my goodness, there's a ton of editing things going on here, or, you really forgot, you really need to expand on this concept here, you can go back and edit your work. You can do anything you want to your work and on the discussion board until the due date. I don't necessarily close down the discussion boards, but once that due date comes, we're all moving on to the next assignment. So all of that I take into consideration. Now, because you can rewrite and edit your papers, I do not allow or offer extra credit at the end of the semester. Take advantage of the resources and the opportunities that I'm giving you throughout the semester. Trying to make up things at the end of the semester is not going to benefit you. You are not going to learn anything from that other than, hey, look, I didn't do what I was supposed to, and yet I still got an A in class because I did the extra credit. That's not the way I work. You need to keep up throughout the semester, which is very easy to do, and you need to participate. Once the grades close, I take about 10 days to go through and grade everything. I look at everything that you've commented on, because when you answer questions, that shows me whether or not you understand the concepts as well. So all of that information is taken in together. And some people have done not so well on the actual papers, but they've still gotten an A because of the questions they've asked, because of the corrections they made in their paper, and also because taking the feedback, and also because of the way they asked questions of their peers and responded to questions. So the paper itself wasn't all that great, but they've still done well overall and gotten a good grade because of everything else that they did in the meantime. So, that is really, people aren't participating. People who have a hard time aren't participating, and they're also not, they're not posting their work early and getting that feedback, and that's a great opportunity. So that's another reason why I kind of have that 10-day span, because it gives you a few days. Don't expect, if you post your work within after 48 hours before the deadline, don't expect a whole lot of feedback. In fairness to all the other students in class, try to post it at least 3 days ahead of time in order to get that feedback and give you the opportunity to respond to the feedback and make those corrections. So a lot of people are like, well, it was 11 o'clock at night and they didn't get any feedback. That's in fairness to the other classmates as well. The discussion boards, as I was just going through, have some fun with them. Definitely talk about things, bring things up, chat with each other. You'll see, especially in the beginning, I'm quiet on the discussion boards. I'm not jumping in there because I want to see how you guys interact. If I'm always jumping in and saving you and giving you the ideas, it's not going to help you in learning and retaining the information. Same thing as if you do ask a question, I'm going to be watching to make sure that people are kind of responding accurately, that there's no misconceptions. But at the same time, if you email me and say, I don't know, you need to tell me about the PowerPoint presentation or the multimedia presentation. I may say, check out the syllabus. All the information you need is in the syllabus. I don't do that to be mean. I do that to help you find the information. And I do the same thing like on the discussion board. Hey, thinking about this, you may want to touch upon that. This is someplace you can go with that. So you can really grow and expand your learning versus me just giving you the answers. As I said, this is kind of the online class. This is the way that I find for myself learning online really helps. So, thinking about that there's no right or wrong answer. Quizzes I talked about a little bit. I do make those due April 30th. I know things happen, things get in the way. I highly suggest keeping up with them because if you try to take, a quiz for the assignment that was due in February, if you're trying to take that in May, the last 2 weeks of class, you're not going to have such a easy job remembering that information. So just keep up with those pieces of information. Let's see here. So, yeah, I talked a little bit about the time. Probably later today, I'll be posting that online, the Owls Purdue website, the online writing lab. I can't talk. We'll also, let's see here. You can keep working up until the due date on that assignment. Let's see here. Another question I get is, how to get an A on the paper. Thorough and on topic. Using APA, MLA, using those different things. Let's see here. One of the questions I definitely get sometimes too is, whoops, wrong thing here. Why don't I post everything at once? And I just completely lost what I need to do here. Why don't I post everything at the same time? So, why do I take the discussion boards and why do I post the key concepts and why do I post kind of the things we're going to discuss later? I do that to slow you down. I don't mind if people work ahead, but at the same time, I don't want you to complete. I've had some people that tried to complete the entire semester in like 3 weeks. You will find that these concepts, each assignment builds upon the previous assignments. So when we get towards the end of the semester and we're talking about stress, you'll be having to think about the brain, you'll be thinking about perception, you'll be thinking about development and personality and how all that plays a role in stress. So I don't mind if you start to look at the assignment and say, oh, okay, I got to do something about stress and let's think about stress and here's some ideas that I need to think about. But at the same time, I want you to make sure that you fully understand the concepts that we need to have at the same time, getting feedback on that. So I don't put everything up and available like on the discussion boards and in the assignment at the beginning of the semester because that's more or less to slow you guys down and not have you work so far ahead and not getting a good grasp on what we need to do this week. That's to help with that focus. As I said, I have high expectations. I am a tough grader. I'm giving you everything now, which is why you're receiving so many emails this week. Emails and announcements this week. I'm giving you everything that you need to be successful, and it absolutely is possible. I give out many A's. It's not impossible, but it is going to take work, and you really have to show. Unfortunately, we don't do things back and forth that I can ask questions and cue you for. That's kind of why it's important to post your work early. When you're in a class and you're kind of state something and the teacher's like, well, they kind of got it, but don't, and they may ask you a few more questions. We can't do that in the online format. So that's why it's important to get that clarification from my end as well. Make sure you understand those concepts, using the research, writing well-written papers. The only place you really do need research is in the papers itself. So when there's general discussion boards, for example, I posted for next week a video on neuroplasticity. You don't need to use research for that. If you just want to watch the video and talk about neuroplasticity or something else that you know, or how neurons are created, feel free to just talk about it. If you want to include research, you can. That the outside the papers, it doesn't have to be formalized papers written. It can just be kind of chats back and forth, almost like a chat room. Um, be careful with, the whole internet like texting language. Not everybody understands the same acronyms. Write out full words, write out complete sentences. This is a college class. I understand there's going to be spelling and grammar mistakes every once in a while. It happens all the time. We read our own mistakes. So those discussion boards, the additional discussion boards where we're discussing things, don't need to be formal papers. It can just be responding back and forth through those text boxes. So I hope this kind of gives you a little bit better understanding of the expectations that I have of you and what I'm going to do, and hopefully clarifies the expectations you can have of me. Kind of going over those papers, those assignments, and kind of explaining why I do things the way that I do. So if you do have any questions, feel free to email me or post them to the discussion board, and we will be checking from there. I am on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. I do check email Wednesdays as well. I respond to emails Monday through Thursdays. I do need, like everybody, kind of need a break every once in a while. Does that mean that you may not find me online at other times? Absolutely not. But those are guaranteed days. And of course, I will keep you informed with the announcements if I'm going to be away from the computer for any other reason at any other time. So thank you guys for watching. I know it's been almost 27 minutes, so I'm going to wrap up. Thank you. Have a great day, and see you in class.